So in today's video, I'm going to be challenging one of the biggest myths in outreach, that more personalization equals better results. And throughout this video, I'm going to be referring to a term that we call personalization trap. And it's something that I think everyone who's doing outreach has either done it or has been a victim of it. And in this video, I'm going to sort of really break down why it's an issue, what it means for you and the business, that if you sort of continue doing this, and how to solve it. What are the things that actually really matter? So let's get right into it. So a little bit about me. My name is Kevin Patrick, co-founder of Astris Partners. We are a B2B growth accelerator. We've worked with over 50 B2B companies across a range of industries verticals, which gives us deep insights into what's working right now. More importantly, what doesn't work, because part of our game, we have to test, we have to learn, we have to iterate, we have to get better. And this channel and videos like this are here to help B2B leaders like yourself make better decisions and have a better chance of making outreach a success. In 2024 alone, Astris Partners, we generated over 8 figures in qualified pipeline and closed or helped our clients close over 7 figures in new business opportunities. And because we work specifically with B2B companies, we understand the challenges ins and outs, and we are in a good place to be able to break down some of these tough subjects that a lot of gurus and a lot of people see online talk at a very, very high level. And our job is to try and really bring that to simple terms and not only talk about the problem, but give some insights on how to solve it. So what does personalization trap look like? Well, let's start there. How do we identify it? How do we see it? How do we view it? So I think one of the most easiest ways of identifying this is where, and believe me, I've been there as well. Okay, so this is not me saying I'm perfect or we're perfect as Astris. Like, everyone has gone through this, because the era of AI has allowed us to do crazy levels of research, crazy levels of personalization, and we think, wow, if we write lots of personalization, let's talk about the school and college that they went to. Let's talk about the post. I mean, the amount of messages I get saying, hey, I saw you commenting on this person's post, so I think you're interested in this. Can I get 20 minutes of your time? It's what's mentioned in this first point, obsessing over adding more personalization techniques. Oh, if I do this, it's going to make a difference. Oh, if I try this, it's going to make this difference. And the truth is, it doesn't. It absolutely doesn't. And we're gonna go into the details of why this is the case. But it's that obsessive mentality of, if I personalize more, I'm going to get better results. That's number one. Number two is going back to what I said earlier in the AI era, AI in general, but a lot of tools that have, ultimately AI here is to enable us to be better and to be more operationally efficient. And that is fantastic. But the problem is, when you have tools that allow you to do personalization at scale, and when you put it into the hands of people that maybe don't understand the fundamentals in outreach, you're just getting this really rubbish. This is why even AI agents or AI SDRs, for example, don't actually give that great of a return. They are getting better. Okay, there's no doubt about it. But ultimately, from our standpoint at Astris Partners, we still don't feel comfortable utilizing fully AI written emails. We have our human strategy. We're a team of 7. We've got human strategy, human expertise, the thinking and the understanding of data, knowing what to try, knowing what to do, and all the insights and expertise that we've got from all the successful campaigns we've run. And then we're infusing AI into areas that we believe, once we get the foundation right, we believe is going to optimize the results. But this whole idea, I can personalize at scale, so this is going to make my outreach more successful. Again, it sounds good, but doesn't always work. And what generally tends to happen is, the more effort you put into personalization without getting the foundations right, means overall there's not much of an impact. and the results suffer. So hopefully you'll be able to resonate and start to see certain aspects where it might be resonate to yourself, maybe someone in your team, or maybe even messaging that you've received and realize, okay, this person probably got caught up in the personalization trap. So the problem is, why is this so seductive and why is this so problematic? This is a major problem because a lot of people in sales or outreach or whatever, they think by doing this level of, by prompting and running 10,000 accounts with all this research, they're thinking, oh, I'm doing so much effort, I'm doing so much work, and I'm, therefore I'm targeting really, really well, and I'm therefore, being very thoughtful in my messaging. And it's not great when you've already got that mindset and then you go into somewhere like LinkedIn or other places and they're saying personalization is the answer. You're not personalizing enough. You're not personalizing enough. And as someone that's got a fairly large presence on LinkedIn myself, it's my responsibility, as is every creator in the space, to share the right knowledge. And I do try. I believe I've done a good job of saying that it's relevancy over personalization. If you can relevantly personalize, then I'm all for it. But if you're personalizing for the sake of personalizing, it's completely waste of time. And the second problem is this concept of false confidence. You're putting in some information and you are personalizing it and you're like, oh wow, this is great. Oh wow, no, I've never seen an email like this. Oh, I've never written an email like this. Oh wow, this is so amazing. I've mentioned that they worked in this previous job 3 years ago. Wow, they're going to think how amazing I've spent so much time. We have to also realize that whilst we feel as experts, as GTM engineers, as people doing outreach, we feel we're amazing at utilizing all this technology. The people that are receiving are extremely intelligent as well. If you are sitting there thinking that only you and me know how to do personalization at scale, we've already lost the battle. People who are receiving the email see it on a much greater scale and on a daily basis. So it's very important to, in the era of GTM engineers, in AI SDRs, to go deeper. And that's what we're going to talk about. It's about going deeper. It's about understanding the strategic issues that are being faced at a company level and a prospect level than just high level personalization. So what I said before in the previous slide, personalization doesn't create relevance. One of the biggest issues that I've seen with a lot of companies is, because we can now do personalization at scale technically, they get all these companies in and then they run some research on it and then they force personalization. Please don't force personalization. And in fact, I'm going to completely turn this whole thing, I'm going to give you a really, really simple solution towards the end of how to solve all of this. But if you are at any point feeling like you're forcing personalization, you are making a mistake there. So that's number one. Number two, please, 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 don't talk about someone's college or a recent post or they've mentioned their dog in their recent post. I mean, unless it's really relevant, unless it's, I can't remember, I was thinking about a post someone wrote to me that they mentioned one of my travels. I think that was even on my Facebook, which I just think is really not right, to be honest. I don't even use Facebook that much anymore, so I'm surprised that they've gone and they'd mentioned something about my travels, and they said, "Oh, they said, how was it?" And that's how it was literally like, "Hi, Kevin, I saw that you'd been to, I can't remember which country, no, it might have been Thailand. Oh, it was such a great country, right?" But and then a pitch slap. Where's the relevancy? Why? Why do I care? Just because you know that I've been to Thailand, you think I'm in a better place to buy from you? Where is the logic? It is laziness. It is actually forcing me to put a spam complaint on that email. Do you understand? Do you understand how? Because if you wouldn't accept it, if you don't appreciate you receiving an email similar to that, then Why are you sending that to someone else? And the final piece is going back to what I said earlier, is because we are caught up in this personalization trap, because we are constantly like encouraging ourselves, wow, this personalization is amazing. Wow, there's a different data point I'm using. Wow, I've taken something else from their LinkedIn that I'm sure no one else in the world has thought about. We are, or as I said, decorating generic outreach. We are hoping, without getting the foundation, the fundamentals right, we're hoping a little bit of personalization, sprinkled on top is going to make everything amazing. In fact, I'm just thinking about this analogy right now. Think about, you've got a cake that doesn't look good, that doesn't taste good, that doesn't smell good, and then you're putting those sprinkles on top. That is all personalization is. If the cake is not good, then this does not matter. However, if the cake, for example, was made for a younger audience, it was very colorful, it was the right flavors, and then you put the sprinkle on top, people are like, oh, that excitement, that this is so apt for the audience because the cake is right and the sprinkles on top. If the cake is not good or right, then it doesn't matter how much sprinkles you add, it's never going to make a difference. I'm actually quite pleased with that analogy. Hopefully it connects with people. So if you want to know if, let's say, suggest you're doing personalization at the moment and you're not getting the results, you might be able to use this as a reference. So let's take, for example, this is open rates, okay? And then I've sort of changed it between healthy campaign and personalization trap. So the really interesting thing is that data does suggest that open rates, reply rates can be higher with personalization. This is what's represented in the light blue. And in the dark blue, we're saying just a healthy campaign. So good outbound messaging, strategic, and no personalization. Okay. Immediately here, you're like, okay, well, I'm getting way better open rate. I mean, again, if you've been watching my content and if you're knowing what you're doing in this space, you know not to track your open rate. I'm only using this for visual representation. So let's assume your open rate is higher. But if we look at your response rate, we're looking at 15 in this example versus 3. So what is this, 40 and 45 in terms of the number, either percentage or number of emails, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, again, a 15% response rate versus 3 with personalization trap. Unsubscribe rate, personalization trap being at 8%, but a healthy campaign being at 2%, and a healthy campaign and a meeting conversion, which ultimately all that matters, your positive reply and your meetings, is all you need to really be worrying about, is you're seeing a much better number on healthy campaign. But we as humans don't like that. We as humans think, well, no, I may be personalizing wrong. I should be personalizing more. I should be personalizing something different. No, I need to stop you there. It's because the foundation is not right. Please stop falling for the personalization trap. And hopefully this visual will bring some thoughts and ideas into this next time when you're reviewing or assessing your current performance with your outreach. So some of the warning signs when it comes around to the personalization trap is these 4 here. So the service level data is where you are just accessing information that's very, very easy to access. So LinkedIn, funding data, that's just become so massive. Like everyone uses it now. This is no longer oh wow, I'm using funding data, no one else is. I assure you, we speak to our clients, are executives. We speak to executives on a weekly basis. They are getting 50, 100 emails a day with the same subject line, the same opening. Oh, I saw you got funded. Hey, pitch slap. Like there's no, and the surprising piece is actually it's not very hard to solve this, but people don't want to solve it because it sounds too simple. But as I said, I don't want to get carried away with myself. I'm gonna get to that. But if you are using surface level data, probably a warning. Number 2, if the core message could work for almost anyone, with minimal changes, then there's not really much difference between that and an email blast. Everyone knows what I mean by email blast, sending the same message 20,000 times. You might as well just do that rather than just having some few minor changes here or there. The idea behind strategic outreach is understanding at making sure the company's a right fit, making sure at the seniority level, and then at the persona in terms of the job role, in terms of industry insights. All of these elements are what makes messages really, really relevant and personalized. So if you've got generic core messaging, you're probably in not in a good place. And it's another warning for you. And this goes back to what I said earlier on: bolted on elements or forced personalization. If you're writing there and thinking, yeah, I need to write. Okay, actually, let me mention a famous restaurant in the area. Let me mention something that's rather this hiking spot, because you've just seen it online and you're forcing it in there. Please don't. I think once you have got the foundations right, and if you're looking at sort of ways of optimizing, and then you want to test them, then obviously please be my guest. But if you are forcing any of those type of personalizations, it's not going to work. And finally, if you find yourself or your team is spending most of their time talking about personalization, talking about areas of personalization or data points to personalize on, etc., without really answering that fundamental question, that strategic, that why now, when you're sending an email, and you're not really getting to the bottom of value proposition that you're offering and matching it to the pain point of a potential company, and more importantly the person that's receiving it, then something is wrong. Especially if you are on the verge of saying cold email is dead, cold outbound doesn't work, and you're having this conversation of personalization, you need to go back to the drawing board and start all over again, please. The other piece that we see when it comes to personalization traps is, it's really funny, because the hope is that by testing lots of different personalizations, we're going to get to the answer without solving the fundamental. And this goes back the same message over and over again. I'm not saying anything new. I'm repeating myself. So I really want this to solidify in your minds. Just because A/B test, A, you're talking about their college, and B, you're talking about their school, or A, you're talking about their college, and B, you're talking about their restaurant that they might like, or they've done a post about, or they talked about their dog, is no, it's doesn't matter, especially if there's no major improvements. And I can assure you, if you are trying that and you're not seeing results, it's not the personalization, it's your messaging. It's your messaging strategy. It's the fundamentals. So that is number one. Then what happens is people start to think, well, the person, this is so, the more I talk about it, the more I see it and feel it, because I hear it all the time. Personalization is not the problem. We love personalization. The world loves personalization. If I had an email that was personalized to me and talked about my personal story and talks about me, I would buy into it. Would you really? Would you really? Or are you just saying that to make yourself better, feel better? Then what happens is companies say, well, it's not the personalization fault, it's because our data is rubbish. So what do? Well, we'll just buy more data. If I can just test more volume with this crazy unnecessary personalization, it's got to work. No. Please just go back to email blasting if you're going to do it, because I'm being serious. The reason why is that you're gonna save more time, and either way you're not going to get results anyway, right? It's not to do with the data. If you are following the best practices with data, you're still not seeing results, and you're throwing in lots and lots of personalization, go back to the core, the foundation. And this is the other one that I see over and over again: constantly tweaking subject lines and opening lines. And this is something that obviously we do, I do see a lot in LinkedIn and other channels talking about you need to have the right subject line and opening line and the impact that it has. And whilst there is some truth in that, I'm not going to lie, there is. But again, if the messaging, if the foundation of the messaging is not right, and you're not testing the value propositions, you're not testing the pain point, if you're not testing or gathering insights and therefore creating a messaging strategy around those, because that is at the core. That is at the core of your messaging. And if you're not testing that, and if you're not finding a winner there, the offer, there's so much things you need to test before you even think about subject lines and opening lines and all these other things. Get the core right, and everything else will fall in its place. And then when you talk about personalization as a topic, because going back to a point I'd raised earlier, which I see with a lot of companies, where you can just bring in a lot of data and then you run just different research tasks and then you create messaging on the back, and it's super, super weak. The problem is the targeting then becomes very much I'll reach out. It's laziness. From experience, it's laziness. Why do I have to go through all of this intense list building when I could just, it doesn't really matter. AI will do the work for me. And I know I'm not the only one to say that. I know we're all thinking it, we've all thought it, that AI will just do everything for me. AI will figure everything out. It will work out the best subject line. It will work out the best value proposition. It will work out the best sending times. It will do this, it will do this, it will do that. No, it won't. It will not. It will help you be efficient. And this is why I genuinely believe that before you use tools and AI, do manual emails. Write and research emails yourself. Do 10, 20 a day and write it yourself. Write it in the 5th grade, in the simple language, in the way that you know you should write emails, and learn and see what works. And then once you get that foundation right, then you bring in the technology. But a lot of people are hoping AI, hoping tools, are hoping, yeah, just all the different, I just bring lots of tools in and it's going to change everything for me. It's the silver bullet. No, because AI is only as good as the output is only as good as the input. And if you're not doing that fundamental work, which is to create the input, then the output's always going to be rubbish. And therefore, what ends up happening regarding this particular diagram here is that the targeting, the list is super weak, because you end up just picking up at a very, very high level of data sets that actually, don't have any genuine need. And therefore you end up reaching out to companies that are a poor company fit. And then this whole question of relevancy, your spam rate goes up, and then it's in a trap. Like, well, I'll try different personalization, but you're not solving the core problem. And then when that happens, then your ICP definition gets lost. It becomes very blurry. Oh yeah, actually I can do that because personalization makes it relevant. Oh yeah, this person, actually they're not someone I'd normally talk to, but because it's personalized, I think they're going to really love my email. You see? Do you see how that sounds? You see how it's a problem? Weak foundation of targeting. Please be aware of that. Now we start to slowly transition into, we've looked at what the science may look like, and then now what's really the impact of all of this? When someone receives an email that has been trapped, or personalization trapped, if I may use that, they can see that there's no understanding. They can see, yeah, this has been blasted to thousands of people. Delete, spam. There's no understanding. There's no need. There's no want. There's no, like, where is that hustle, that grit when doing outreach? That's the best bit about outreach. I believe this person is going to has got an issue because something has happened. I understand. I believe to understand. I wish to understand, and I know I can help them make more money, help them save time, help them save money, whichever those key psychological fundamental factors, rather than actually AI. You know what? Do the research, think of the value proposition, put the CTA. Let's see what comes up. Just step backwards. And what happens is, if you can't answer that question of why you, why now, That's where all of this should start. That's where all of this should start. That first line, that very, very, very on into email, whether you say it explicitly or whether someone reads it and says, okay, yeah, I can understand why they've contacted me now. And if you can't answer that, if your response to that is very generic, it's very high level, it's just because they could need me. I mean, they could need me at any time. Like, they could make that change at any time, so I'm going to reach out to them. It's not good enough. And if you don't have that understanding, you can't answer that why now to the person who's reading, then it's lack of not just genuine insight, but just lack of genuineness. If you're not willing to take the time to get to know me, and you want my time and eventually my money, and you can't even be asked to do a little bit of research, 2, 3 minute, 4-minute research, and put something together that is actually going to be relevant to me, then why should I even think about replying to you, let alone even knowing about your business, learning about your business, and potentially partnering with your company? You see, it's something that goes way beyond than just a single email that won't get responded to and potentially gets spam flagged. And again, this goes back to the point of when you are stuck in the personalization trap, what generally tends to happen is that the messaging, because the focus is on the irrelevant data points and the high service personalization that we talked about before, the focus is the college, the restaurant, the dog, I saw you like this post, you got a funding round, congrats, pitch slap. Everything then becomes so product centric. It's like, so you got a funding round, congrats. This is what we do. This is how we can help you. This is how we can do this. This is how we can do that, etc., etc. So it becomes too product centric, and no one cares about you. They only care about themselves. Remember that. That's outbound 101. We all know this. It's never about us. It's about them. How can we help them? What can we do for them? How can we put ourselves in their shoes and create messaging that's going to really resonate? And this goes into point 2, or an irrelevant value prop. A value proposition that doesn't resonate with the prospect's reality. How many times have you received an email and you've thought, well, you've either thought, do you know what, this has been sent to thousands of people, or this person has no clue about what I do. This person has no clue about what I'm going through at the moment. And this is where AI can become very useful, right? This is where you can look at the different personas at a strategic level, and you can work with AI around your value propositions, around the business, the type of companies you're going after, things that are happening in the industry inside. I mean, ideally, if you've already found product market fit and you want to scale that, you've already got enough insights with your customers. And if you don't, speak to your customers, assuming you have customers. But if you're scaling, speak to your customers, get the insights, and test that in your messaging. But if you don't have that, or if you want to further enhance that, use AI to gather more insights, to understand your prospect's reality, and therefore you can improve and align your value proposition based on the segments, seniority, the job titles, departments, etc., etc. Finally, what generally tends to happen, as you've probably guessed and gathered by now, taking the cake analogy, one size fits all messaging with personalization layered on top. The rubbish cake sent to everyone with, you get some red sprinkles, you get some white sprinkles, you get some multicolour sprinkles. It's not going to help. So that is what happens when it comes to personalization trap with messaging. And again, I touched on some of this before, but let me reiterate. The psychological disconnect. We are all so aware. We are also aware of what AI can do, of what it can't do. We are consciously being trained or training ourselves to knowing to look out for AI. You think about social media, you think about LinkedIn, the number of posting, that's AI written. AI comments at the moment is what blowing up at the moment. It's the same thing with emails. People saying, yeah, this person has either no clue. With email, it's even worse. Either been email blasted. This person has no clue. They put an AI SDR. They have, it's so many different factors. Don't give people that opportunity. This is why people always talk about it's very difficult to start it in the inbox, but as long as you the infrastructure deliverables piece where I've talked about in my other video, solid, and you're landing in the inbox, which actually a lot of companies don't know how to do. So you're already ahead of the game a little bit with that. But then when you get the messaging right with some of the things that I'm going to talk about later on in this video, you actually can separate yourself. And that's why when we are getting response from our clients where we're seeing 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30% reply rates on our campaigns, outbound cold email campaigns, we are seeing those type of numbers where industry average is like 0.5 to 0.7. And people, and I'm not even talking about people who say, yes, we want to talk to you. People who say, sorry, this isn't of interest at this time, but great email. Or was one of the best emails I've seen, but at the moment there's no need. But let's touch base in 3 or 6 months. That is absolutely fine as well. These people are desperate. People are always looking for solutions. There's no doubt about it. But people are always looking for respectful messaging. So don't allow these sort of transparent tactics for people to see through. Yeah, this personalization is just fake. And the problem is also when you create this transparent personalization, the relationship begins, well, if there is even a relationship, but going back to what I said earlier in terms of your reputation, your company's reputation, it starts to feel very transactional. Oh, this person just put that in just for the sake of it. This person has just added this in or has added AI because it thinks I'm stupid enough to actually say, yeah, I want to have a call just because you're going to talk about my dog. Yeah. And then, finally, there is a sort of an area where people can feel artificial personalization. They're like, that's not what a human would write. And what I always say to people is, if you are going up to someone at a networking event, or would you say that to someone? Would you go up to someone and say, hey, I just saw your picture of your dog, to someone you've never met before? Or I saw you live in Farnborough or Guildford or London or another part. Oh, do you know what I mean? Like you have to understand that if there's no relevancy, and in taking that example, if I'm going to a conference that's in the next town and I talk about Farnborough, or they mention, or I find they're from another town or whatsoever, then maybe do you see where the relevancy sort of comes in? But if I'm doing that in just standard outreach, if I'm just going up to someone with no context and saying that, how weird is that going to look? That's very, very important that this goes beyond just what you write. It's a psychological, everyone talks about the psychological spam filters, free, guarantee, click here. This is exactly what's happening with personalization as well, and something we need to be aware of. So obviously we've talked a lot about the what it is and why it's a problem, how to look out for it, the different areas of the impact that it can have. But now let's talk about the solution. This is why you're here. How can you solve this? Earlier that I have a very simple solution for you, and it's what I'm going to start with. The list is the message. Please let it sink in. The list is the message. Instead of spending no time building lists and hoping AI will do research, or you hope just sprinkling talk about a restaurant is going to solve your outreach problems, step back, reverse it, and focus on building really tight lists. And I mentioned this in my previous videos as well. Focus on building lists that basically means the message is going to be written for you. A good list, 200, 300, 500, 700, 800 prospects, it doesn't matter, will write the message for it, will write its message on its own. So that is really the answer to a lot of your problems. It all starts with the list. The issue that I think you're probably falling into is like, well, I need lots and lots of volume, so I'm just going to go after everyone. And then we talked about why that's already a problem. But if you focus on making your list very, very specific, who is it? And you can answer this based on looking at your current customers. Why do they buy from you? Who are they? Where are they based? Okay, can I create lookalikes? Can I find companies that are in a very exact similar scenario? And at that point, do your research, right? Get AI and whatsoever to do personalized research on that very, very small list to make sure that they are fitting your criteria. And then your messaging. Should I tell you the beauty of all of this? I call this personalizing your list rather than personalizing your message. Personalize your list. You don't have to personalize your message. You don't have to do spin tax and all the other things to make sure it lands in the inbox, obviously. But if your list is personalized, your message is already 98% there. Then you can look at buying signals. So what are actual things? And then another great insight for this is to just look at your last 10 deals. Why did they buy from you? What was happening? Maybe they're expanding into new countries. Maybe they opened up a new office. Maybe they hired a new leadership position. Maybe they received lots of complaints. And I see this all the time. Companies are always sort of thinking, well, there's no point of thinking because there's no way for me to research it. You don't know. I would start by making a list of all the reasons why you feel someone is going to be ready, regardless if it's way down in the future or right now. Just make a list of all of those different options, and then from there you'll then be able to figure out, okay, are there tools to do it? Ask AI in terms of how can I start to scrape or build lists that are going to be very specific around this. And you can then start to have more relevant messaging. And this is another very, very important one: quality over quantity. Please, 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 we need to stop and we need to get away from this whole idea that I have to send 100,000 or 500,000 or 1,000,000 emails a day to get anything. No, you don't. Because regardless of what you're sending, if it is badly written, if the cake is not nice, doesn't matter how many people you have it try, that they're all gonna, it's rubbish. It's the same thing, right? Like, focus on the quality. And then once you get the right messaging, the right lists, then you can think about ways of finding more data and scaling it. But trying to run with quantity is a very, very big mistake that a lot of B2B companies. When it comes to the messaging piece, what you want to then do is, and we've already talked about some of this, but it's to just reiterate, is that go beyond the surface research. And I always say to people, like, if it's easily discoverable and accessible, just imagine everyone else is doing outreach. Think about your competitors. Think about people in your industry doing outreach. They're going to be doing the same. So go beyond. Where else? What other types of information? Could there be specific directories? Could there be specific forums? Could there be specific groups? Don't just look at someone's profile. Go beyond that. That could potentially be useful for someone, right? And then start to look at, going back to what I was saying before around sort of buying signals, etc. What are the events that are going to be happening at a company level and at a prospect level? And again, I see this being missed a lot of the time, that everyone talks about the company. I saw this happen at the company. Saw this happen at the company. This happened at the company. That happened at the company. Pitch slap. It's like, well, yeah, it happened at the company, but how is that relevant to me in my role? Do you see? This is where you need to be spending your time. This is where you need to be thinking more strategically. To give you a very high level example, C-level in an organization are thinking more strategic, are thinking generally about revenue growth, are thinking about potential cost savings right across the board. But it's sort of those fundamental. But when you go down to maybe heads, or if you're going to director level, they are the people that are doing more day to day. So that's where your messaging and also alter. So understanding and realizing who those people are, what roles they are, what seniority they are, what sort of things that may be not only happening at a company level, which would then suggest that this company is a good time to maybe outreach to, yes, but now let's go beyond. What does this mean for this person in this role? This has happened. What does it mean for them? Does it mean their workload has increased? Does it mean they're having to do more reporting? Does this mean that they have to potentially let go of people? Does this mean they have to hire more people? And you can now start to write messaging that's way more personalized, that's way more relevant than talking about something like a dog or a restaurant or a college. And then segmenting, whereby you're not just looking at the job title, the company size, and all of those good demographics, of course, but go deeper, go by pain point. Then once you identify the key pain points, whether you've done that from customer insights and or with AI's help or just brainstorming with your own insights and research, you can now start to test way more methodically. When we talk to people and we say to clients, we're actually testing based on pain points, and we're testing based on issues that we believe are going to be problematic for companies. The clients are like, really, can you do that? Well, of course, because we don't know what pain point or what value proposition is going to resonate most to a particular pain point. So those are just some ideas that you can start implementing fairly quickly. So let's just go over in terms of how you want to be, restructuring your messaging hierarchy. So this is to hopefully get you away from the personalization trap. So first of all, this is about leading with insight. It's about thinking about their situation, thinking about the company situation, thinking about the person's role. If they've gone through a journey in their own role, what does that all mean? So get in the mindset and lead with insight, because that's what's going to resonate with most, and that's what 99% of people who are not doing outreach are missing out on, and that's where you can win. Number two, the personalization, because this whole topic is around personalization, so I don't want to completely disregard it. I don't want to say it's bad, but the personalization, it needs to be integral to your value proposition. So a really good example of this is what a lot of companies do is they say, hey, first name, I saw blah, blah, blah. I saw you like this post, so I thought this might be relevant. We do this. Could we chat? Thanks, name. PS, saw you went to Harvard. Bravo. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking, coming up with that on the top of my head. But instead, what you could do in that example, get rid of the Harvard line, because it doesn't really make a difference unless you're talking about colleges or educational, but even then I probably wouldn't. But where you said something like, this is how our solution could help, and this is where you can personalization to showcase how your solution could actually solve their business challenge or business need. So our solution can actually do XYZ that is specifically based on your understanding of what that business does. Just think about the difference in that for a second. When you write that level of personalization, people receiving are probably not expecting or thinking that someone has done that personalization at scale. And they are thinking, well, actually, they've taken the time to understand my business and they've written that. And that's exactly what you want to create. And this is why I said earlier, forget all the tools. The next week, if your outreach really struggling at the moment, there's something I want you to do. I want you to forget all the tools, and I want you to just take 10, 20 prospects a day, go through all of this, obviously, find the right type of companies, the trigger events, etc. And then I want you to handwrite or like type those emails, thinking with this messaging hierarchy. I think it's very, very important that you do this. And once you get to do that and know which are the bits that are being tailored and working, then you can think about how you can automate and do it at scale. Okay. And then number three, you need to focus on the why now, as I said before. That is very, very important. Why should this person care right now? Why should they care? And they should be able to see within the first 3 to 5 seconds, they understand why they're written to me, and they understand why they're written to me now. That makes sense. If you get these three and you start to implement these three into your outbound messaging, and you're not doing any of this now, you are gonna skyrocket your results. Assuming that your infrastructure and delivery and all of that fundamentals is correct, this is going to make a massive, massive difference. So there you have it. Hopefully you have understood and have got to know the ins and outs of the personalization trap. You also have the solutions of how to improve and how you can massively, massively change the game for yourself when it comes to outbound. So here are some next steps for you to think about. So assess your current performance, look at everything, look at your whole outreach setup, but thinking specifically about outbound, look at the most important metric, as I mentioned before, which is positive reply rate, which is your meeting rate. and really just focus on improving those. And if you're not getting those numbers, everything else is just vanity. Obviously, turn off open rates if you're still tracking them now. Like, just don't do it at all. It's affecting you, I promise you. Turn them off. Reply rates, okay, all great, but if you're getting a lot of not interested, then something fundamentally has to change there. But the focus has to be on positive replies and the meetings that are being booked. So please focus on that. Then you want to, if obviously you're looking for, assistance where we can actually look at what you're currently doing, discuss how we would support you, discuss what it would look like to partner with us so that we can take care of that whole outbound effort from your end, and then you can focus on doing what you do best, which is the sales calls and closing. Then there'll be a link to my to be able to book a consultation call with me below. And then obviously, please continue learning, subscribe to Astris Partners, to this channel, look at some of the great people in the space, continue to keep learning, don't give up. And as I said, if you're keeping an eye on the major metrics and things are not right, and you are going back to the fundamentals and making the right and necessary changes, you can only go uphill. So I hope this helps, and look forward to the next video. Thanks.